Yes, Senator, I thought I signed up. I guess I checked the wrong block. I am Mark Meacham, President of the Greater Bluefield Chamber of Commerce. And thank you all for coming down to Mercer County. I understand it's largely a Senate meeting, and I'll address that. Our chamber has not taken a vote, if you will, on what to do with Mercer County, but I think that's a foregone conclusion from hearing from all these other folks tonight that we want Mercer County to be one. That's real simple for you all to do. On the House side, we have taken a little more active position at the chamber, and that we are endorsing the concept of having single-member delegate districts in the House. So I would encourage the delegates that are with us tonight to consider that. We think that is the right thing to do for all of the citizens and all of the voters in the various counties. I would ask you to consider that as you go forward, and look forward to working with all of you in the future. Thank you, sir.
I want to speak primarily on the House of Delegates. I think some of the things that I'm going to suggest apply equally to the Senate when we redistrict the Senate. Some of the principles. And I'm not speaking for anyone except for myself. As a person who went to the House of Delegates several times and elected a few times, I favor single delegate districts. And you've heard all the arguments, the delegates that are here, the three of you, and I'm not going to go over those arguments. But as we move toward a single delegate districts, which I think we'll do this time, I think there are some suggestions that I have that should be considered. For instance, right now, we have a part of Mercer County, approximately 6,000 people or so, that are cut off. They're disenfranchised, so to speak, because they're with a two-delegate district with a much larger population. They have no opportunity to ever elect a delegate from that part. So I think a small number of people in one county should never be attached. And this applies to the Senate too, to larger areas in other counties, because you disenfranchise them when you do that. I think a portion of Fayette County is being treated very unfairly at the present time. And when crossing county lines with the district, the number of people in the district from each county should be as close together as you can possibly make it. The requirement that a delegate be elected in a specific county, in my opinion, should never be enacted. And I think the same thing would probably apply to a senator too. This takes away the idea of being elected by a majority vote. And never attach a small number of people in one county to a multiple county district, such as Mercer County is now. And the suggestions I have for those delegates that are here for Mercer County is to create 3 single delegate districts within the county, which would be approximately 54,500 people. That would leave between 6,000 and 7,000 people to be attached to another district. My suggestion, just an example, would be 6,000 people from Raleigh County, 6,000 from Summers County, and 6,000 to 7,000 from Mercer County could make another single delegate district. And I don't want to disagree with my friends, but I kind of like the idea of having 4 senators that I can call on when I need help. Thank you very much for being here. Sometimes we feel left out down here, just as you do over in the Eastern Panhandle, and you do in the Northern Panhandle. We're glad to see you here.
Thank you, Mr.
My name is Bob Holroyd. I've had the pleasure of serving in the state legislature for a period of time some years ago. And while I am not going to mirror what the people have said here tonight about the senatorial district, I would point out, and it seems to be unanimous here, that everybody feels that this county ought to be put back together. And if you don't do that, then you ought to be ashamed of yourselves, because it's something that has to be done, and it's just not fair or proper to not do it. If you look at your map, what on earth do we have in common with Wayne County? Now, I love those people up there, but we don't have anything in common with them. When we start putting together districts that we're going to have one person represent, then that district ought to have some continuity to it of people who have similar beliefs and similar aims and similar aims in their life. We don't have that when we're spread out like we are. And my goodness, look what we've got in the House. We've got 3 delegate districts in this county. Number 22, number 25, and number 24. That is ridiculous. When I was in the legislature, we had 4 delegates serving this county alone. Nobody else served this county but those 4 delegates. We knew what this county needed. When somebody in Bluefield wanted something, they came to us, and there was always one delegate from Bluefield, and sometimes 2. But they came to us, and they had 4 votes. Now, for the people in that part of the country to now say they only want to have 1 vote, frankly, it makes no sense. Politically, I have seen many instances in legislation on the House floor where 4 delegates made the difference, sometimes 3 delegates made the difference. I don't ever recall a situation where 1 delegate, 1 vote made the difference. Politically, when you go down there with 1 vote, you've got no power whatsoever. You go down there with 3 votes or 4 votes, and you got some power. To me, that's what the people of this county ought to be supporting, and that's what those of you who are interested in doing what is good for Mercer County and what is appropriate for this county should be considering.
Thank you. I'm a citizen of Princeton. I'm not too aware of everything that's going on. I basically got an overview and a shot of everything going on here. The way I understand it is 1 vote, 1 delegate. If you draw a span your counties, and you leave one person for governing a lot of it, you work that man hard. He's misrepresented because people gang up and they get in partners with each other, and you have situations where it's like it's clannish in ways, and it's hard to control for 1 person. You only have 1 vote anyway, and that guy has a hard time. I agree with Bob from the point where there are problems like that, like that's in Mercer County. I don't like Mercer County because there are a lot of problems in this county, and a lot of them are they're not planning, they're not some cultural, maybe you're going to go regional versus cultural, but basically they're all in Mercer County down here, and everybody's talking to each other, and there's a lot of press in this county. As far as I'm concerned, we should have at least as many people as needed to control it. 4 delegates is a good situation, because when you have that many, you have extra people to go when it's time for the people. When people come with a problem, if you got appointments, all you have is time for the appointments. And you don't have enough time for the appointments if you don't have enough people to work. That's all.
Okay, thank you. Just look at some other questions. You have a hand over here. Yes, sir.
Yes, I'm Russell Gaither.
I'll Russell you.
I'm chairman of the Southern West Virginia Tea Party, and our membership and our executive committee too would like to see Mercer County reunited, and we are all in favor of a single-member district.
Thank you, Russell. Appreciate that. Let's see, we have Dale. Geigen? Is that how you pronounce it?
Geiger. Close enough.
I'm sorry, Dale.
That's okay.
But you had a question, Mark. Would you like to speak?
Yeah, I will.
Okay.
Just briefly, I'd like to join in expressing gratitude for you all being here. It's too rare a sight, frankly. So we do appreciate your being here. With all due respect to Mr. Holroyd, I'd kind of like to go ahead and not back. And I think the single delegate district is the way to go. I have expressed that to several of our local representatives and delegates, and that's what I think we ought to do. As far as unifying the county, although I consider this a very special place, just like you all consider your place very special to you, I don't think we should be considered a special place as far as the redistricting is concerned. But I think my opinion would be the counties ought to basically be united throughout the area as much as possible. Mr. Schott has made a proposal which is vastly superior to the way we are now. Maybe it could even be moved on and done a little differently. But please try and bring us together. But not just Mercer County, but I echo the idea of all the counties. Again, thank you for being here. And I wish there were actually more of us, just citizens here than there are. But there are some of us here.
Yes, Mike?
I have a question, sir. Based on districting and population, how many delegates can each district afford? Montero, through population, is there any ratio with that, or is it even considered?
Well, there's a number.
18,000 population.
18,500. And it doesn't really go by county lines. Once you reach 18,500, then you have to draw a delegate district and so forth. So it's not like retained in all counties. You can only go down 5% or over 5%. But we're constrained by the fact that we're one person, one vote. So it's not like we can put 5 delegate districts in Mercer, but 1 in McDowell, just because we want to make it arbitrary. We have to look at the numbers. So,
Excuse me, sir, I don't want to interrupt. It seems to me that you've answered a situation, and I don't know if there is a situation, but basically, per capita, if you're basing everything on per capita, and you put 1 delegate in, then that might be okay. But in your district regions, it's not all set that way. The way I understand it, by the basic structure of the way you compound your delegations. And so, monetarily speaking, it might be sound to have 1 delegate that way, but per capita and need of the people and the monetary situation, I think you need more delegates in different places instead of 1 delegate per district.